Sports Talk Show. Your host is here for the show tonight to interview our special guest. Show highlight the Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, boxing, tennis, golf, and racing. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. Tune in for all the news and scores, reporting on the games and so much more. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show.
Welcome, Eric. Welcome, everybody, to another great episode of the Alford Sports Talk Show. I'm Alan, and today we're going to do something really cool. We're broadcasting here live at the National Baseball Hall of Fame, the Clark Sports Center. And the great thing is, this is our third year covering the Baseball Hall of Fame. I actually did want to do this live, I guess, before, but I was able to set it up and had the equipment here to do it. So we're here live at the Baseball Hall of Fame. I want to go ahead and got a lot to unpack, but first let me go ahead and talk. And like we do any show, if there's anybody that does unfortunately pass away in the sports arena, we go ahead and acknowledge that. So rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, Legend Hulk Hogan, who did unfortunately pass away this week. And just the other day, I had a chance to actually cover the AFL weekend, which was, and Hulk was a special guest there back in March. And I kind of knew that, unfortunately, that his health was fading. I'm gonna show you a clip of a video that I had taken by doing the media, and it was telling this clip. I didn't actually notice it until I replayed the clip. And when I replayed the clip, I had played it on my laptop and I was able to see it on a big screen. But I saw the Hulk about 2 years prior to that. And prior to that, he had a limp when he was walking. But when I saw him back in March, when I covered the AF1 event, arena football, you can tell that, unfortunately, that the health was starting to catch up to him. The health was going to be an issue. So I'm going to definitely give my prayers and condolences to the Hulk, his family, and definitely anybody who's affected by this. The Hulk Hogan, you hear a lot of negative stuff online about the Hulk and that he did this, did that. But the truth of the matter is, to me, the Hulk is always going to be a legend, and I'm going to tell you a couple stories about the Hulk and why, to me, he's always going to be a legend. And growing up, I was a big wrestling fan growing up, and Hulk Hogan was my guy. I am a real American. And when that song used to come on, it was like, wow, it's like a living superhero. And he just embodies just coolness. I mean, you had to be there to see it. The guy revolutionized wrestling, WrestleMania, him, and, Ray, he rest in peace too, Andre the Giant. But the Hulk was number one, and Andre the Giant for me was a close second. And just the way he used to fill the stadiums, the way that he used to just be him, rip his shirt off, and the cool thing I liked about the Hulk is that he was unique. He wasn't like somebody else who just kind of like copied, and he was definitely his own style. He was very different, and that's what made him so cool. And a couple of personal stories that happened with the Hulk was I had asked him to autograph a Funko Pop for me, and then he asked me my name, and I told him my name, and then what ended up happening was I said my name is Alan, and he told me he has a brother named Alan, and I was like, at first I just thought he was just being nice and just just being a nice guy about it. Well, when I did look into it, he did have a brother named Alan, spelled Allen. Mine is spelled Alan. And unfortunately, when I did discover he had a brother named Alan, his brother had passed away due to an overdose. So ever since then, I never looked at that Funko Pop the same. I really didn't. And just for me to say share the same first name as his brother, and just unfortunately knowing what ended up happening to his brother was something that was, tough. And I know that had to be tough on him too. But yeah, let me show you this clip here I'm going to try to pull it up here. I tried to, the original clip, I actually have it back in Tampa. I'm here in Cooperstown, New York, for those just joining the show. But I'm going to pull up this clip here, and it's going to really show you what I'm referring to and kind of highlight something here. Let me just pull this up here. Just give me one moment here. Okay. Shift. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I'm just gonna pull this up here real quick, and I'll show you what I'm referring to. And this you see what was going on here. If you look closely, you'll see it. Let me just back it up a little bit.
What's up, guys?
It went too quick. Let me show you here. Look here, he's holding his wife's hand, and he got an arm around her. He lets it go. Then he goes to position with her, and he uses the rail. I'll show it to you one more time. He's got his right arm around his wife. He's walking, him limping back, and he lets go of her, takes the position he has, and uses the rail to get up on the stairs. And that was telling me I didn't really pay close attention to it right from there live. I was using like the same camera to guide just what around. And if anything, my screen is even a little bit smaller than his.
Yeah, dude. What's up, guys?
But yeah, so I'll show you one more time. And he positions inside, and he uses the handrail.
What's up, guys?
And the reason why this is telling is because it's saying a lot because of the fact that those stairs were not like really steep stairs. Those stairs that if you have a Shih Tzu, you have a Chihuahua, you have a small puppy, if you train them, they could go up those same stairs. And that right there was like a big warning sign for me with Hulk, and that to me increased my level of concern about the Hulk. There was some rumors about his back and stuff, but his back surgeries and things like that, and then there's something more serious. And I felt watching that video again, I didn't notice it live when I did it. When I watched it for the first time on the screen, I picked it up right away. So, and those stairs were just regular stairs that even if you had a 6-month-old baby, if they fell down the stairs, it'd be all right. I mean, still, you shouldn't do that to a baby, but it was not steep stairs. Again, a Chihuahua, Shih Tzu, any small puppy, if you train them, they could have walked up those stairs. And the fact that he had to switch position to get help up those stairs, you could clearly see the stairs, and that was back in March, and now we're in July. So much so, I told some of my friends that I had real concern about the Hulk, and it's not something I just made up on the fly. But definitely, Hulk Hogan will always be a legend to me, always. And the fact that his brother shared the same first name as mine, and that he wasn't just being nice, he was being real. And definitely much respect to Legend Hulk Hogan. And I even spoke to somebody in the media today who lives not too far from me, Bradenton, which is about an hour away from Tampa. And they were talking about attending the funeral. I was actually thinking about attending as well, if it is public. I'm not sure yet, but I was asking details about it. And if so, it is, he lives in Clearwater, which is about 35 minutes from where I live. So I'm not sure if it is going to be public. It's too soon to say. That's really the family's decision. But if it is, I will definitely make arrangements to go ahead and attend. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Let me go ahead and switch gears here and talk some baseball news. Yep, I'm right here in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, not inside the museum. Let me just put that up here, guys. Not inside the museum, but inside the Clark Sports Center. This is the media center where they actually are going to have the press conference actually here right behind this wall tomorrow. And I'll talk to you about that in a few moments, but definitely got to give the National Baseball Hall of Fame a lot of credit, a lot of props for allowing the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show to cover the event 3rd year in a row. And already it's been a fantastic weekend, just going through the names. I got a chance to get an exclusive and check out the Yak U event. I still got to make sure I pronounce that right. And it's a Japanese-inspired exhibit, I should say, in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That's one of the great things about the Baseball Hall of Fame is that when you come here, as I was saying in one of the clips of the video that I did, is that every year it's a different experience. Even though this is my 3rd year covering the event, 4th year visiting, every year that I've been here has been a different experience. And last year they had the Souls of the Game, really cool event. And this year they got Yakyu. So it's really cool that they have this and they change things up. If you haven't been to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, I definitely highly recommend you come by and visit. I will say this much. If you are going to come out here to Cooperstown, make sure you got a car that works really well and got some good tires, because there is a lot of winding roads. If you go ahead and hit that road too fast, you're going to end up in the woods. You're going to make friends in the woods. And just the other night when I was leaving here, no joke, there was a goat that walked right by the road. I'm like, I saw a deer, but I'm like, somebody didn't want to like tie up their goat. It was close to, it was dark, and luckily I didn't hit the goat, thank God. But you want to make sure that your car is in very good condition here. Tires and brakes are in great condition, because there is a long winding roads here before you get here. It is no joke. If you have too many, let me just put it like this, if you have too many adult beverages and you're not paying attention, or you text on your phone, you're going to end up in the woods. That's just how it is. So just make sure your car is running in good shape. Case in point to that is the 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, CC Sabathia. His car broke down on the way to the Hall of Fame. I seen him putting up on social media, and I feel kind of like guilty in a way, even though it wasn't me who caused his car to break down. But I saw him last week, and that's something I feel like I should have just said to him, "Hey, man, just make sure your car's in good shape. Make sure your tires are good. Make sure everything's running good, because one of the last places you want to break down is in Cooperstown. Knock on wood. Thank God it hasn't happened to me. But I'm telling you right now, that's not going to be a good night for you, a good day. And if it does happen, you better hope it's during the day, because at night, no street lights. It's something, man. Definitely. But yeah, definitely, if you're gonna come visit, make sure you either rent a car or your car is in very, very good shape, good tires too, and be careful. Be careful, because if you can deal with winding roads with no street lights and at your comfort level, don't be trying to play NASCAR, which is, I've covered NASCAR events too. Don't be doing no NASCAR on those roads, because you'll be in the woods. So definitely the exhibit, it was awesome, and want to already thank some of the people who did interviews on the Allen Alford Sports Talk show. You have Ozzie Smith, who did 2 already, Cal Ripken Jr., and let me just back up, Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith, 2 times, Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr., Jack Morris, Hall of Famer Jack Morris, manager Bobby Valentine, 2 as well. The CEO, got to give him props to Josh Rawich, who did an interview too. It was really, really cool right there at the exhibit. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you guys check out those interviews. And yeah, the crazy thing about it is just that I interviewed the CEO for the first time, Josh Rawich. And the cool thing about that interview was I got a chance to ask him the question that when I was leaving, like ready to go home, one of the fans, was trying to get autographs. He was still hanging out there, and he brought up Josh, and he said, "Man, this guy's got the most awesome job in the world." And I was like, the crazy thing is, I just interviewed him and I asked him that question, like, Josh Roberts got to have the coolest job in the world is absolutely right. And I was glad I was able to ask him that question there, because I've been blessed to have met and known some CEOs of some big time companies. And I tell you right now, what Josh is doing compared to those other guys, it's not even in the same ballpark. Josh got a great job. So you got to give him credit for that. And I also want to say with Josh as well, he has some great advice to give to some of the players. When they do make it to the Hall of Fame, they worry about the speech. And he kind of echoed something I said too. If you do make it to the Hall of Fame and you have to make the speech, the best advice I can give, and kind of along the lines of what Josh is saying, is just relax. You know how to handle pressure. You know how to handle the spotlight, paparazzi and cameras. That's nothing new. I would just advise to just relax, enjoy the moment. Also, I would suggest you write down the people that helped you get to where you were and being a Hall of Famer. Don't forget to thank somebody you should have, because that's one thing you don't want to do, is get up there and kind of like the emotion and get the best of you, and you don't have it kind of like bullet points of who you're going to thank. And just go ahead and just make sure you thank the people that helped you get you to being in the Hall of Fame. If I was doing a Hall of Fame speech, that's what I would do. I would make sure I jot down the people that helped me get there, make sure I thank them, and just tell a little story as to why you're thanking them, why this person helped you, what was significant about this person that made them special and stand out from someone else. And you just do that. If you do get emotional, just, hey, it's nothing to be scared of, nothing to be intimidated about. It really isn't. Even from a personal standpoint, I had to make an acceptance speech an award, being a top performer in a company, and there's a lot of people there, and the speech was going well. When got to the point of thanking my son, yeah, I got a bit emotional, but I just took a time out and just it is what it is, and just continue forward. So don't worry if you get emotional. You know, it shows you're a human being, and that's what people told me at the end of the speech. They're like, "Man, I can tell your son really means a lot to you, and you seem like a genuine, real person." And I think sometimes people forget that when you are successful and you go through things in life and things do work out your way and you become successful, I think people sometimes forget that you are still a human being. You still have emotions. You have good days, bad days, and if you get emotional, I think people get reminded of that hey, you are a human being. You're gonna be all right. So don't worry about it. Definitely don't worry about it. And yeah, so that's yeah, you're gonna be fine, man. You're gonna be fine. Just make sure you don't forget to thank the people that helped you. That's the key, and explain a little bit as to why they helped you and why you're thanking them, and you'll be fine. Just speak from the heart, and you'll be able to knock out that speech, man. Okay, let me just see here. We're gonna have a cameo appearance here. We're gonna try to see if we can make it happen to have. Yeah, this is. Let me go ahead and see if we can do a blast from the past and have Aaron come back on the show tonight. Let me just go ahead and make that happen here. In fact, let me go ahead and try to get my man on the show. Let me just see here. And like I said, don't be doing this. Don't be texting while you're on that winding road here in Cooperstown. You heard it from Alan from the Allen Alpha Sports Talk Show, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'll tell you right now, that winding dark road. And it's not just like a couple of miles. It's like a good 40, 45 minutes. And it's quite a few. So just you heard it from me first. Make sure your car's running good. And you're not doing that. Okay. I will. Yeah, so it's man, it's been an awesome couple days already. And oh, I didn't finish the list. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked on the speech. So we have Josh Rawitch, the CEO of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. We have Joe Mauer and Jim Tomey, and definitely, and they've all been awesome interviews there. That's case in point. That's why you should, I mean, you can write the speech. Everybody's different. Everybody's flow is different. You can write out the speech and kind of read it as you go. I kind of like bullet points because you already know what the person did and kind of like know why you're thanking them. If you see their name, you remember, hey, I got to talk about this person. Boom. And then you just kind of go from there. And let me go ahead and also I'm actually glad we're gonna have Aaron on for quite a few reasons. But nice thing is we can, give some more props to the Hulk, and I'll even do the moment of silence when he comes in here. Let me go ahead and do that right now. Work on that. Let me just see here. All right. Just see here. No. Okay, here we go. See, man, you just always gotta stay positive. Always gotta stay positive, and everything's gonna be working itself out. Let me just go ahead and do this here. Yeah, see, I wanted to make sure I recorded the show here because the center here, the Clark Sports Center, closes around 9 o'clock, and that was one thing because they closed a little early. I want to make sure that I did the show prior to, and and if you are listening to the show at the regular scheduled time, which time I'm going to air it, just know that it won't be live. This will be a pre-recorded show done on Friday of the show before, a few hours before our normal scheduled time. So you just know that I won't be able to respond to text and send yes and let me just see here. Please like, subscribe to the YouTube channel there. Make sure you guys don't forget to do that. And I just sent message here. Let me get set in. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna have a blast from the past today. We're gonna have Aaron Biels, our special guest here. And the nice thing is, that's how the show started. It used to be the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Show. And the MLB hasn't updated the name. I guess I've put in the system, the change, but there are some administrative changes that I can't change, and they still have it as what we used to have it way back in the day. So it's all good. I would show you in the badge, but this media credential, but some place don't want you to, put it too close to the screen or what have you, post it up on social media. So, but yes, you're gonna take my word for it. But let me go ahead and then sounds good. Yes. And then also any of the shows here that we've done, both audio and video, it's Alan Alford Sports Talk Show.com, Alan Alford Sports Talk Show.com. You can go ahead and visit there and get a chance to see all the prior shows. Also on Facebook, it's Alan Alford Sports Talk Show. And then on Instagram, Alan Alford. I know a lot of people have asked me, how can I find you? If you just type in Alan Alford, AlanAlford, you should be able to find me. And speaking of that, let me go ahead. There he is. How you doing?
It's been a while, man. Doing great. Good to see you. Obviously we saw you in Atlanta a couple weeks back, but you're right in the heart of it now there in Cooperstown. How's it going up there?
It's going fantastic, man. It's this is the third year here. It seems like every year it gets different, and it gets awesome. And it's been already a great start to the weekend. I was just saying on the show, I was able to interview, Ozzie Smith twice, Cal Ripken Jr., Jack Morris, the Hall of Famers, Bobby Valentine twice, Josh Rawitch, that's the CEO of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That's the first time I've got a chance to interview him. It's my third year, and Hall of Famers Joe Mauer and Jim Thome. So yeah, it's been awesome. And then we still got tomorrow. Yeah, it's that's the great thing about Cooperstown is that they got new exhibits.
All kinds of people. Yeah,
it's just the class of people that come here is just awesome.
Yeah, no, and I saw the interview you did, or parts of it there with Bobby Valentine. I've always loved him. Great personality. I mean, he was serious about baseball, but you talk about the ejection. I think it was in '99 when he was with the Mets, and he got ejected and came back and came back into the dugout with the the fake mustache and the fake glasses on. So he had a little bit of humor to him as well, and always been a likable guy. I know he managed the Mets, and he was with the Red Sox for one season. That was kind of a disaster. But if you love baseball, Bobby Valentine's the kind of guy you like. So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's got personality, and I didn't forget about that mustache. Funny thing is, I think it was just the anniversary not too long ago.
Yeah.
It popped up on my feed or something, so I didn't forget. It's like I didn't want to bring that up because he was already in a great mood. He was vibing. He was checking out the exhibit for the very first time, and I didn't want to bring up something that it was kind of questionable. How his feeling is about it today. versus, because I can't believe he speaks fluent, Japanese. He's
Yeah,
went
well,
to
he
Japan.
spent he
Yeah, that's
so he managed I want to say it was the Rangers in the late 80s, early 90s. Um, he actually you can go back and find this probably on YouTube somewhere. He's talking about watching Nolan Ryan warm up, and I can't remember what exactly he said about Nolan Ryan, but it was one of Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters that he was talking about. Left the Rangers, went over and managed in Japan for I want to say like 10 years. I think he might have had 2 different stints over there, and we don't get to see Japanese baseball here in the States until we see somebody come over from Japan, whether it's Ichiro 20 some years ago, Hideo Nomo back in the 90s. We don't get to see those guys on a regular basis. So here's a guy who has had his foot in both Major League Baseball here in the States and then the big league ball over in Japan. And he's seen the best of both worlds. And I believe him when he says that their players are excellent. I mean, it's a different game. It's played a little bit differently, obviously, than it is here. But again, it's really nice to have somebody who has that perspective of both the best of both worlds, really. And he's going to know exactly what he's talking about. So
you're absolutely right. I mean, that's just a wealth of knowledge, and it just goes to show you that Bobby Valentine, he did right before my interview. He did an interview by a Japanese station, and most of it was in Japan and Japanese. Most of his interview, and it's just a fantastic. And in the exhibit, the cool thing about this, Aaron, is that he got at least on the exhibit wall, just telling you what a source is. They credit him for the kids running the bases, and they also credit him for the kind of like autograph signing. I guess that might have been something he learned in Japan, but that's fantastic. If you got that kind of credit for running the bases and signing autographs for the fans, that's kudos to that.
yeah, no, and again, like I said, he managed against some of the obviously he managed against the team that I root for, and I still remember the year that happened where he got kicked out of the game and came back with the glasses and the funny mustache and all that kind of stuff on. That was '99, and he managed the Mets within one game of forcing a Game 7 in that National League Championship Series. So always a guy that I respected. And you mentioned some of the other names in there. I think I caught you say Jim Tomei. He's one of the nicest people in baseball. Ozzie Smith would have been an interesting one. I didn't catch much of his career, kind of at the end of his career. I think it was '96. So by the time I started watching him, he was at the end. He wasn't as athletic as he had been in maybe the early mid '80s and late '80s. So, but walking around there, and I'm sure you're seeing names, and you're probably getting crowds of people around. Each guy that's walking around. I had the fortunate experience here a couple weeks ago. I know you got a little bit more of it than I did, of course, but walking around Atlanta 2 weeks back during the All-Star festivities, you and I and one of my sons were actually at the Futures game 2 weeks ago tomorrow. Earlier in that day, they had a what I thought was a really cool event, kind of similar to when the Super Bowl is going on. You've got all the events going around for the fans. It was the All-Star Fan Village, I think is what it was called. And I took my family there, and I think we only spent maybe an hour, hour and a half, but there were just so many things going on. I did see Dusty Baker walking around. There were some other people from some of the MLB Network and things like that. So this is a big month. You get the All-Star break going on. There's 4 or 5 days where there's no other baseball other than the Futures game like we were at, the HBCU, which you were at on Friday. That was really cool. The draft was on Sunday. In the draft, I think the draft has gotten a lot more fanfare and a lot more publicity in the last several years, really since MLB Network came around. And now they've moved it. It used to be in early June. Now they've moved it to the same week or weekend as the All-Star events start going on. So it's kind of put more of a focus on it. So, then you had, the Home Run Derby. That was really cool. And then, to be honest with you, and I think I told you this when we were in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, the All-Star game is great, but I think it's all the other stuff that goes on around that's almost more interesting because, the All-Star game, it's great. It's just a big exhibition game. It's watching these young kids that, like the futures game. These are guys that are going to be at the big leagues in, a year, maybe even less, or maybe 2 years. So, but this is a great month for baseball. You talk about all-star stuff. Now we're talking, of course, about Hall of Fame. And congrats to the guys that are going in this year. Very well deserved, and just happy to see finally happening. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely well said. I can't congratulate them enough. The guys that are going in, they've earned it. They've earned that spot. CC Sabathia, Ichiro Suzuki. I mean, these are household names that everybody knows. And Billy Wagner too. He just definitely deserves it. Over 400 saves. And then the two gentlemen, unfortunately, who have passed, Dave Parker and and Mr. Allen too. So
yeah, Dave Parker passed away just I don't know, it was a month or so ago, and it's just it's unfortunate that right before he gets to enjoy an accolade that he probably didn't set out his career goal to be at, but he got the accolade, and unfortunately he's not going to have that time to enjoy it. Billy Wagner, just a side note, I was actually at the game where he got his 400th save back in 2010, I believe it was. He was pitching in Atlanta at the time. So kind of a neat thing to say that I got to see, a record setting or a career milestone met there. And it was kind of a neat thing to see that. So.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just yeah, you hate to see when somebody doesn't get a chance to actually see and make their speech. They don't. That's the thing, and that's tough. That's tough that they don't get a chance to go through the process of. Because one thing I have learned about Hall of Fame weekend is this is kind of like your graduation in a way. It's a graduation of your career. You're making a speech only one time. Like even Joe Mauer, when I interviewed him, I even said, how does it feel for you kind of now that you don't have to worry about the anxiety of a speech? Because the next year it's the next guys, and that's it. Like once you make your speech, you kind of graduated officially from baseball in a way.
Yep.
Like you could still do things, not saying you're not attached to it, but as far as your playing career, that's about it. That's kind of like your graduation. You're getting that certificate.
Yep.
And
walking across that stage, and yep. And it's one of those things too where you look back at. I'm trying to think of somebody specifically. I know Don Sutton. I know he passed away back at the beginning of 2021. He went into the Hall of Fame, I want to say in 97 or 98. I'd have to go back and look. One of the highlights of his Hall of Fame speech was with respect to Lou Gehrig. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. So those little excerpts right there, if you make a mistake, you can laugh it off, but people are going to remember those things that you say during that 10 or 15 minutes that you're up there speaking. So, have it prepared, have it ready to go, have a little humor in it too. Don't be afraid if you do slip up. And I remember watching one of your interviews, I want to say it was 2 years ago with Jim Leland. And I think you asked him directly, like, were you nervous about making the speech? And I think he said he was. So, it's kind of funny to think about a guy who's been around the game that long, 50 years or more, and they've talked to the press, many, many times over the years, and they get up in front of all the fans and all the people there in Cooperstown, and that's the one time they may get nervous. So just kind of find a little humor in that. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because with Jim Leland, you could just see that he was stressing all over his face. And I'm like, and I asked him directly, is that the most nerve-wracking thing to you right now, the speech? And I was thinking the same thing. You're in front of, millions of people. It's your speech. It's your, it's your baby. Like, as long as you don't say something offensive and something like that, I think, you can do a fantastic job. And I was like, my thoughts was like, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the time, enjoy the spotlight, because after this year, you make the speech. Next year is another class. It's you kind of graduated in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was stressing about it. He was really nervous about it because you could just feel the tension off of him. But Jim Leland did a fantastic job with his speech. And that's what I find with a lot of guys. They get nervous, but once they're up there, they get into the flow, the nervousness goes away, and they just deliver a fantastic speech.
Yep.
I think they kind of get in their own heads a little bit.
Yeah, no, and it is one of those things where, again, like you said, you only get to do it one time. So it's kind of like if you were graduating and you tripped over your shoelaces, everybody's going to remember that as you walk across the stage. So got to get it right the first time. But again, if I'm an advisor to somebody who's putting it together, have a little humor in there. I know John Smoltz did that with his back in 2015, I believe it was. He classically, obviously, he's bald. So I remember he pulled out a long-haired blonde wig and put that on, and actually did his entire speech or most of it with that blonde wig on. So people like to have a little humor. Some guys are a little bit more serious, but it'll be nice and interesting to watch here on Sunday, exactly what is said. And I would imagine, I'm not a Hall of Famer, neither are you, so I can't imagine the pressure of having to put together a speech, but all the people you have to try to remember to think, that's probably the thing that would be the most challenging. So
yes, exactly. Put in some humor, be yourself, just be yourself. And I was saying earlier on the show, make sure you don't forget to thank everybody that was very instrumental to you and why you're thanking them, and you do that and you'll do fantastic. And yes, not no great grays hairs, any more gray hairs about, just, you're right. You have one time to do it, but you should rise to the occasion, just like Jim Leland did. And everyone did a fantastic speech. They really did. I'm talking about last year, 2024. They all were nervous, all of them, about the speech, and they all did a fantastic job. And they all were different. They all had different styles, and you expect that because they're different personalities.
yeah, no, and you're right. You've got some guys, like I said, that are more serious. Some guys that are, kind of have that loose, mentality, which, obviously everybody's got a little bit of a different style. But yeah, that's exactly right. So
yeah, but you're a Hall of Famer, so you're gonna be making that speech.
yep.
But it's something that all gentlemen should be proud of. And we're supposed to have Miss Allen during the press conference speak tomorrow on behalf of Dick Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is right behind me where the press conference is going to be.
Very nice.
Yeah, tomorrow. It's right here behind me, but I can't even go inside this room because they got it locked off. They don't want to peep at it until tomorrow.
Get it all set up. Yeah, it's a surprise
so,
for everyone in the media included. So,
yeah.
Well, it's good to see that you're there again. I know this is your third year, so you know the layout. I have not had the great pleasure yet of making it to Cooperstown. That will be on my list here. It's been on my list for a long time. I just haven't had the experience yet. I got to see the Negro League Museum in Kansas City 3 years ago. That was phenomenal. Just some of the classic, stuff from the 40s and 50s, and probably even earlier than that. The artifacts and the, speaking to Bob Kendrick, who's the president there, and just seeing, baseball brings people together. We talked about, Japan, and obviously there's leagues all over the world that guys play baseball, and that's the one thing that brings everybody together. That's the common denominator. You throw all the politics and all the differences out the window, everybody talks about baseball, and that's the one focus for that particular period of time, or during a baseball season. So it's nice to have that as a common bridge for everyone, especially in the crazy world we live in these days. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, you're exactly right. That's one thing. It's a common bridge is sports and baseball. And even you see Japan and here, if they love their baseball, man, it's fantastic. And I didn't know that you'd never been to Cooperstown, but man, it is a fantastic.
I will be there at some point. It's definitely on the list.
It is.
You have to kind of twist the wife's
phenomenal.
arm to find another area in that particular part of New York to go to kind of make it work. But I'm working on it. I'll eventually wear her down and we'll get up there. So
yeah, you're gonna love it. And make sure if you do come here that the tires are good, to make sure the car is good, because there is a lot of winding roads, dark, no street lights, and if you're going too fast, you're gonna end up in the woods.
And you'll miss the whole thing.
And CC Sabathia's car broke down
on
the way here. Just
Wow.
make sure everything is working good and your tires are good. Don't be texting and driving. I was saying even earlier because it's no joke. It's for a long. It's not like Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from.
Gotcha there. Well, I know the other big thing too, since we were talking about, the All-Star events a couple weeks back, 2 weeks ago or so, obviously the Hall of Fame here, trade deadline is next Friday, or no, sorry, next Thursday. That's the 31st. So there's going to be a lot of player movement um, happening here over the next few days. I know the Yankees picked up infielder today from the Rockies, Ryan McMahon. That's really been the biggest deal I've seen to this point in July. So I would expect if we were to talk again next Friday, that there's going to have been quite a few changes to some of the competitive teams' rosters. The big difference, I think, that's changed here in baseball in the last couple of years is they've added multiple new playoff teams. It's a new format. You have 3 division winners, 3 wildcard teams, and then, of course, the way that the playoffs work now. What that does is that means there's more teams that are competitive, more teams that are potentially going to be a playoff team. So if you're within 5 or 6 games of either, division lead or a wild card spot, you're less likely to trade. And so the flip-flop that's really happened here since this format has changed in the last few years is now you have more buyers and less sellers. So that makes the value of the player for the team that might be trading that player go up. But then you've got 5 teams or 6 teams that are competing for one guy. So now you've got the teams that are trying to move those players. They're going to wait for the best deal to potentially happen. So I would expect a lot of movement probably within the last couple hours next Thursday. I think the deadline is 4 Eastern time on July 31st, next Thursday. So I would say wouldn't shock me if my phone's blowing up, pretty much all day that day, but from 12 noon to about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and maybe even a little bit after, because sometimes they don't announce the deal until a little bit after. But, there's going to be a lot of movement here player-wise, and I'm sure there's probably a buzz around Cooperstown right now about some of that too, with some of the analysts that are up there that I'm sure probably have some inside information that I'm not privy to and that you're not privy to. That'll probably be able to tell you a little bit better than I can. But this is an exciting time of year because you're really developing, what's going to happen in August and September and ultimately October, and that's going to be what determines who wins the World Series this year. So,
No, you're absolutely right. It's coming around, and I think you're right. They probably know some things that it's not just rumors. It's going to be some moves, and
yep.
yeah, and that's the cool thing. And I haven't seen some of the bigger names of the media just yet. Usually they come in on Friday. I haven't seen them just yet, but they probably are, like you said, getting last minute trades and things going on. But yeah, it's gonna be a great week, and it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be this is special. Hall of Fame weekend is really special. It really is. It's just it's hard to put it in words. It's just like you just learn about the new history, like the history that's still being written because there's new things that happen today, but there's also some important things that happened in the past that you should know too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a learning thing for everyone who goes there. Now, if you've been there, 15 times in the last 15 years, you probably know it all. But like you said, you're adding new pieces every year, new nuances, new styles, things like that. And speaking of styles, you think about 2 of the guys that are going in. CC Sabathia is a big guy. I know he's a little bit skinnier now than he was when he pitched, but a big guy who, just by looking at him, you'd think he's probably more of a basketball player. He's not athletic and things like that. This guy threw a nasty fastball, and you didn't want to get in his way. And then with Ichiro, again, he brought over some of the style from Japan. They hit differently there. He was a guy who probably could have been more of a power hitter if he really wanted to, but he had a lot of speed as far as being able to run fast, and he really wanted to make the defense nervous, and so he was able to do that very well. I think it was in 2004 he set the all-time record for hits in a season, and not even taking his offense into account, his defense was incredible. Had one of the best arms I've ever seen. He made some plays in the outfield that just were incredible, and you know, this might be a little bit controversial because we're talking about adding in his numbers from Japan to his numbers here in the United States. He ended up his career with more major league hits than Pete Rose did. Um, so some people say, well, he's the all-time hit leader now. I would tend to disagree with that because you got to do those things in the same league. But however you want to look at that, and I don't think it's controversial personally. I think anyone wants to have that view, they can have it. Either way, no matter how you look at it, this guy was a great hitter, and he had 3,000 plus hits in the major leagues, and he didn't start his career until he was 27. That was back in 2001. So, it's pretty remarkable. And I think 3,000 hits now, you think about somebody like Derek Jeter, who went into the Hall of Fame just a few years back. He got his big league career started pretty early on. He was 22, 23. So he was adding those hits in a lot earlier. He had a 3 or 4 year age advantage on somebody like Ichiro, who had a lot of hits over in Japan, of course, before he came here. But it's a long thing. You think about if you played 15 years in the big leagues, 200 hits a year, that's going to get you 3,000 hits. It's hard to do. And so when you get started later in life, later in your career, it just makes it all the more challenging. But Ichiro definitely deserving to be there, and all the guys like I mentioned before, definitely happy and proud to see that they're all going in. So Sunday will be a lot of fun to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And yeah, it just goes to show you that records are meant to be broken. I agree with you. I think if Ichiro maybe started his career here in the States sooner, because back then it wasn't as many players, from Japan as they are now. And not only that, I think they wanted to see more of a sample size.
Mm-hmm.
If Ichiro played maybe 3 or 4 years and then he came over, I think he gets that record. I really do. I
Yeah, I
just
think if
think
he'd come over around 22, 23, and there was some contractual things that would have kept that probably from happening just between the two leagues and the way that the posting system worked back then. So it may not have been, from that perspective, able to have happened. But I agree with you 100%. If he had started here at 21, 22, he'd be the all-time hit king right now, or very close to it in any ways. So,
yeah, I totally agree. I think 2 or 3 professional years in baseball in Japan would have helped him just to get, his feet wet and get. But he's just magnificent. The way that his style is, to me, it's just hard for you to get him out. The only people I think you can get him out is if he hits it back to the pitcher, if you're second baseman and you bobble it and you throw it right away. If you're second baseman, maybe first or second baseman, you can't boot it next to you too far. But if you just like short hopped and it was right in front of you,
Yep.
you get him out. Outside of that, if you don't field it cleanly, he's beating the play. He's beating it.
And look at the impact he had too on the Mariners. The first year he was there, 2001, he won the MVP, won the Rookie of the Year in both the same season. Think about the Mariners though. Think of the guys they lost in the previous couple years. A-Rod had gone to Texas. Griffey had been traded to Cincinnati rather. And then just a few years before that, Randy Johnson, who, by the way, they share the same number in Seattle 51 for their jersey. He had been traded to Houston. So the Mariners, in 2001, even after they signed him, if you were predicting that season, you would have predicted them to be a competitive team. But Texas had just gotten A-Rod, and there was you think about how good Oakland's pitching staff was back in those days. And then Lou Piniella, of course, was the manager there. Your good buddy there, Lou. So they won 116 or 114 games that year. And then the downside is, from their perspective, is they got knocked out in the ALCS against the Yankees, who eventually would go on to lose the World Series that year. But just kind of goes to show you that sometimes moves like that, not really many people knew who Ichiro was outside of Seattle going into his first season. Obviously, the Japanese media blew that place up. I mean, they were everywhere. I remember seeing some stories on ESPN about the requests for media credentials back then. It was practically impossible. Probably wouldn't have gotten one if you were trying back then to get one. Just they had so many more media outlets that were coming over from Japan and just all over the country. it was 5 or 6 times what the normal request was. So, but his impact on baseball here, you think about some of the guys that were able to come over after him, he kind of paved the way. He was the first real big position player name. Then you had Hideki Matsui, and then many of the others that came after him. So he was a trailblazer in a lot of ways, and I'm glad that he's going into the Hall of Fame, like I mentioned before, and a unique player, but a talented player nonetheless. I mean, he had some skills that you may not ever see again. That throwing arm was certainly, hard to beat. And, the speed, and like you talked about there, you better field that ball cleanly and make that throw as quickly as you can, or you're not going to get him. So,
No, you're absolutely right. There's so much about his game. You mentioned the speed. He squares up the ball too. Like he can bunt really well. I saw like 10 clips of 10 of his best bunts, and he's a phenomenal bunter. And nowadays, guys don't even practice it,
yeah,
hardly ever. They just don't.
it's a
That was
lost
something
art at
that
this
they did
point.
a lot when I was growing up. They just don't
Yeah.
really get into it now.
It's all about the home run now. It's all about the long ball, and the little game, unfortunately, has gone by the wayside. So, but Alan, it's been good seeing you again here. Glad we got to hang out and catch up here a couple weeks back in Atlanta, and definitely, glad to see that you're there in Cooperstown again. I'm definitely envious of that experience there, and one day I will, of course, get up there. But definitely appreciate you having me on here, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad to have you back on. It's always a pleasure. And yes, you're going to get this Cooperstown. Don't worry. It's going to happen for you, my friend. Really appreciate you joining us here on the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. You're always welcome, my friend.
Yep,
Always welcome.
absolutely. I appreciate it. You have a great rest of your day.
You the same likewise. Take care of yourself. Bye now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yep, have a blast from the past. It's Cooperstown, right? You got to remember the past to appreciate the current and the future. That's Aaron, my co-host when we first started here on now it's the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show, but it used to be the Allen and Aaron Sports Talk Show. It was actually, the full name was Allen and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. Allen and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. We've, I just said, I felt like title was a little too long when it came to administrative. So one thing that we did do is just put it Allen Alford Sports Talk Show, cut it down. So it worked out great. Sometimes having a long title hurts you in business. People want to keep it short. And then not only that, you have so many characters that you could put into most things. And if you make it too long, which I've learned, it becomes an issue. But yeah, that's fantastic that we have Aaron. Yeah, and yes, Aaron definitely needs to come to Cooperstown. You need to go to Cooperstown if you haven't been here. And if you have, that's the great thing about Cooperstown is that I know a lot of people keep coming back here. It is a fantastic place, and that's no kidding. I've been here. I covered the event 3 years in a row. Been here 4, and every single year has been a completely different experience. National Baseball Hall of Fame. You got to make sure you come on by. There it is, and props to CEO Josh Rawitch, and props to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. You know what? Today is legendary. Not only do you have Aaron, this is history, but I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is the first time. I don't recall another time the National Baseball Hall of Fame actually liked one of my posts. That's right. They liked the LinkedIn post of the interview with the CEO, Josh Rawitch. And that was at the Yaku exhibit. But they did like it. That's the first. Memory serves you correct. It is the first time, I believe, getting a like. I think they liked the story before, but this first time they actually like something where you could publicly see it. So I take those as wins. There you go. You gotta count your wins. Even though if it's not a backflip like Ozzie Smith, you gotta count those. And the great thing is, it's always a pleasure coming out here in Cooperstown, and that's why I'm actually about, if you were driving maybe about 5 to 10 minutes away from the museum, I'm at the Clark Sports Center. This is where the media are at that cover the event, and right behind me, which I can't go in, is where the press conferences will be tomorrow. Willa Allen is supposed to speak for Dick Allen, and this is where it's going to be at. So the press conferences tomorrow, starting in the morning, will be right behind this wall here, and I haven't seen it yet. They usually change it up every year, and the cool thing about it is it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to, Billy Wagner and the guys, and it's going to be great times. So all deserving of it, all worthy of Hall of Fame. Nobody doubts it. Props to Billy Wagner, and there's going to be some new guys who I think is going to get in real soon. Props to all the guys who made it, definitely. And it's going to be fantastic. There was just yes, a couple other things I wanted to discuss too. Let me switch a little bit of gears here and give you guys some UFL news. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start with the UFL news. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of it's been happening while I've been away. Like, maybe that's a good thing because I haven't jumped into a lot of the things, but what has been reported, and this is what they say from multiple, it's James Larson gets credit for breaking this, but it's what he's saying is multiple people in the UFL have told him the same thing. And I hate to get into the rumor scenario because things could change and then people's feelings get hurt if it ends up not being true and this and that. I will say this much. What has been the consensus of being the things that have been the same, kind of like across the board for most sources, is that the USFL teams are going to be, as according to what other sources have said, are no longer going to be part of the UFL. The USFL part is no longer going to be part of the UFL. That is the Michigan Panthers, the Birmingham Stallions, the Memphis Showboats, as well as, I don't know, I'm forgetting a team, Memphis, Michigan Panthers. We have, oh yes, the Houston Roughnecks. Houston Roughnecks, how could I forget them? I'm sorry. Let me just make sure I got that right. Let me just see here. Okay, let me just see here. Yes. Okay, what was being said is the Arlington Renegades are going to get a new name. The Birmingham Stallions are going to be gone. The Houston Roughnecks are also going to be on the chopping block. The Memphis Showboats and the Michigan Panthers. The Houston Roughnecks are the only team that was kind of like an XFL team that's going to be getting a hiatus. I will say this much, okay? I'm gonna be real with you. If half of what I'm hearing is correct, I feel like it's a mistake. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just feel like it's a mistake. Meaning that what's allegedly going to be coming is a team in Idaho, a team in Orlando. They're going to, let's see here. Let me pull this up here and it's been a mess this last week because it's like you can't really say it's not true because it's allegedly from multiple sources. Yeah, so let me just pull up this report here. It's a little bit cleaner on a certain spot, so let me just do that here. But I will just say, let me just make sure I'm saying this correct here. Just give me one moment here. Yeah, so Birmingham Stallions is one of the teams that is supposed to be allegedly on the chopping block. And the last time, I'll say it like this, last time they've said things like this about a team, unfortunately they were right. When they were this adamant that they're out. And I'm just gonna say I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Yeah, say the UFL announced, they haven't announced it, but they're saying that they're relocating the Panthers due to low attendance, which they were actually one of the teams that was on the rise. Okay, so their four new UFL markets will be Boise, Idaho, Columbus, Ohio, Florida, likely Orlando, and Kentucky, Louisville, Lexington area. And the teams that are going to be out are Michigan Panthers, the Houston Roughnecks, Birmingham Stallions, and Memphis. This is all ported, through James Larson. But I'll say this much: I know for a fact, even with me covering the Orlando Guardians, even with me losing the team because they left, I will tell you right now, one thing I know without unequivocally, if you have a team in Orlando, I don't care if you got new uniforms, new name, it's not going to work. It is a proven model that has failed. What I mean by that is you had the Orlando Guardians. They would say there's 3 to 4 thousand people. They would say no, they would say like there's 4,500 people. I would look around and like, okay, are you counting each person 7 times? Like I count. I'm looking here. I'm like, I got 400 or 500 people, not no 4,500. Are you going by the tickets you gave out and not counting the people who actually showed up? It is not the market for spring football. Orlando is not the market. Let me save you time, energy, and all of it. It's just not the market. I get it. It makes sense. It's a tourist area, but you are competing against all these theme parks, all of the different options that people have when they go to a city like Orlando. There's so many options. You can not even go to a game. You go out to eat. You can go to Epcot. You can go to Disney. And then inside Disney, there's multiple parks. You can go to a water theme park. I mean, there's just too many options. Then you have the Orlando. It's just not the place. Meaning, where I think if you're going to relocate, you need to do places like the Battlehawks, St. Louis Battlehawks. That was like lightning in a bottle, where you can put it where people can afford to go, and where they really, really need you, kind of like more than you need them. Meaning, they're in a word, desperate for a team. The Battlehawks, St. Louis. I hate to say it, not throwing anybody underneath the bus, just calling for what it is. They were desperate, and they also had an alternative motive. Part of it was supporting the UFL or the XFL, but you're not going to pull a wool over my eyes too easy. The big motivation for a lot of the Battlehawks fans is they wanted to show the league, meaning the NFL, that we made a mistake. We can support a new league. We can have a team back. So a lot of the people that you see supporting the Battlehawks, it's an alternative kind of motivation. Yes, I want to help them out. I don't want them to fold, but I also want to get a team back here. I want to get an NFL team back. We messed up. So that situation worked out great for attendance at the lo and behold. They need to focus on areas like that. Do some market research. Check and see where you can have a team where you really desire a team, you're desperate for a team, and you will do whatever it takes to support this team. That's what you need to do. Orlando, forget it. It's just wasting time. I don't care if you put on new uniforms. I don't care if you come up with the coolest uniform in the world. It's not going to work. It's a proven model. Orlando Predators, Orlando Guardians. Their uniforms didn't look that bad. people, I mean, there's too many options in Orlando. And when you look at all those options to go to a UFL game in the heat or even at night, it's not usually going to rank up too well. They should just go ahead and just niche the Orlando market. If you go to Tampa, yes, it's going to cost you more money, but I just think you'll have a better shot. Still not a great shot. It won't be like the Battlehawks because there's other options there too, but you will have a much better shot. You want to compete at least with the theme parks in Tampa. And there are some theme parks too, by the way. There's Busch Gardens and there's Islands of Adventure. But you just want to do with Disney, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Paradise Island. There's more. I'm forgetting some of them off the top of my head, but yeah. And when I see that they're considering coming back to Orlando, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, really? Come on now. Come on now. I don't care if you got a big investor that wants to put up some money in Orlando. It's just not going to happen. The Kentucky, Louisville, Lexington area, okay, I can see that. I could see that. Columbus, Ohio. And from what I hear, the boys in Idaho, they really are looking for a team out there. So, yeah. Yeah. So I just think they're going to piss off a lot of people, especially removing Birmingham Stallions. The team has won 3 championships in a row. They just lost the first time this year, and then now they get down and they lose the game. They didn't make it to the championship. Now they're going to lose the whole identity, the whole team. That's just tough. And then Michigan started getting on a rise. They started coming, like they're starting to go up. Every other market was pretty much going down. So Memphis, yeah, I can't really argue with Memphis. Memphis is pretty much like, and Houston Roughnecks were pretty much like Orlando was. Bad to worse. It's just not. And I would even argue that Orlando's even worse because some of the people in the area do have some money. They can afford a UFL game, but they just choose not to. There's just other things that they feel are better. So, yeah, it's just I just hope these things it's not. I hope it's not. It doesn't go through, but I have a feeling that it is going to probably go through. This reeks to me as a guy who supports the league, who really wants this league to do well. It seemed like it seemed like to me, it's coming across to me, if these moves are correct, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. Hey, we need to get these sales up. We're losing, market share. We need to get back in the game, and we're going to make these real drastic moves. And unfortunately, I just think this is too radical of a move. That many teams relocating them. The Stallions weren't at the top tier, but they definitely weren't at the bottom tier. And I just, yes, and that's the thing. I just feel like it just comes across as league being desperate. That's just how those moves are. I'll just say it like that. I mean, I just find that all those moves are going to be a tough sell. A tough sell. I just think it's going to be a tough sell. Hey, we're getting rid of 4 teams and come out to these new 4 teams because we got new places. And I just find it a tough sell. And especially if one of them is in Orlando, Florida. I don't know. I just hope I don't know what to say. I'm just hoping that this is not what it is, but it sounds like this is what it is. Meaning like there's too many people surfacing saying the same thing. And last 2 years when we kind of went from the XFL to UFL, when all things were done, we weren't too far off the target. And I even said it. I even said there's going to be 8 teams, and I got that from a very reliable source before it became public. And it was spot on. It was spot on. I know people was upset at some of the things that I got from a reliable source, and I said these of what I heard from very credible sources. This is what I heard. About a week or so later, they made it official, but nobody was really way off. Nobody was really way off. I mean, most people said 8 teams or 10 teams, and ended up being 8, which is what I heard too. But yeah, and the markets were correct too. So I'm just gonna pray for the UFL. Good news is that they do have showcases coming up. They have those showcases, and the good news is if those things are true, you're going to lose a lot, but you are, from what I see, there are people who, at least the players, are hungry to get into the league because some of them are coming back to where they used to be playing at and things of that nature. But I would do some market research to see if you have fans who are going to come out to the game. Yeah, you're going to have players, but check and see if you can find some areas where they're going to support the team, where they're going to watch the game, support. That's what I would check for. Do some market research, strategic market research. And yes, and let me just yes, and yes, that's what you need to do. You need to do some strategic market research. Yes, and because and you may have to pay somebody a little bit of money, not like exorbitant, but pay some money to check and see. Hey, if we did have a UFL team, what would be the interest level? Not just interest, would people be willing to come out and support? Meaning, come to the games. The UFL, the great thing is that the ticket prices are very reasonable. Are you willing to come out, support the team, come out, watch the games? Would there be an interest level? You need to find that out. Not just players who want to play on the team. You got to see if fans want to come out. And if you do great market research, you'll be surprised. But that's the key. And the UFL showcases are open. Check the UFL.com. And also on top of that, make sure that you check out to see if the showcase fits for you. Also, they have on October 5th in Sweden, in Switzerland, Switzerland, Zurich, Switzerland, to be exact. They have a UFL showcase in October 5th. So check into that as well. Yes. And let me just take a look here. And yeah, let me just go ahead and pull that up there. Yes. And definitely. Well, yep. So let me go ahead and thank you, songwriter Sam Scholar and his wife Mary. Really appreciate you. Definitely thank you so much for the music. Let me show you the man, myth, and legend right there. There he is. Sam Scholar songs. Fat, yeah. Yes, so there he is. And it's his poster right there. He's got some new songs. Great thing about it is all of his songs are available on YouTube and Spotify. YouTube and Spotify. Check him out there. I want to thank songwriter Sam Scholar and his wife, Mary. Really appreciate you. And always a pleasure. Yes, and so you have the intro and we have the outro are songs by Sam Scholar Songs. And in fact, I'm going to do something special here, right there. Sing along with Sam. Sing along with Sam at gmail.com. That's his email. Sing along with Sam at gmail.com. Make sure you don't spam him. Make sure you give him deals. That's what he's looking for, deals, opportunities, not spam. Sing along with Sam at gmail.com. Sing along with Sam at gmail.com. Again, all those songs are available on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you again, Sam Scholar Songs and wife Mary. Really appreciate you. Yes, and let me just go ahead and make sure you check it out there. Thank you so much. And yes, and so let me go ahead and do something up here too. Yes, you guys are awesome. And yes, and Let me go ahead. And as I was saying earlier, make sure you don't forget to thank the people who helped you. Thank you, special guest Aaron, for coming on the show, making a cameo appearance here in Cooperstown. There's something magical about this place, something magical about this weekend, too. You know, special guest Aaron, and it's fantastic out here. Got to get Aaron to come out here to Cooperstown. It's phenomenal. It's hard to put in words. It really is. And we have 55. He said 55. It could be off by one or two, but for what CEO Josh Roberts said, 55 returning Hall of Famers that will be here throughout this weekend. And when you come to Cooperstown, keep your eyes open because you're more than likely going to see somebody. So thank you, special guest Aaron. Thank you guys, too, for supporting the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Really appreciate you. It's you make these opportunities possible. Really are. Really blessed to have this show, and you guys getting to meet, greet you, and talk to you is part of it too. So, really appreciate all of the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show fans. It's really an honor for me to do the show. And I think right here, National Baseball Hall of Fame. Thank you guys for blessing us with this opportunity here of letting us cover the National Baseball Hall of Fame weekend 3 years in a row. It's my 4th year visiting. I've 3 years in a row covering it. Every year is a different experience. National Baseball Hall of Fame right there. Really appreciate you guys. And definitely if you want to check on the other shows, don't forget to check the website. I'll put it up there one more time there. Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. ALAN ALFORD sportstalkshow.com. And if you missed earlier, rest in peace to Legend Hulk Hogan. In fact, we're going to do a moment of silence right now for him. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Let me go ahead and do a moment of silence for Hulk. Rest in peace, Legend Hulk Hogan. Definitely rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace, brother. So thank you guys for watching another great episode of the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Really appreciate you. It's been an honor having this show. And next Friday, same bat time, same bat channel. Friday, 8:30 p.m. CST time, 8:30 p.m. CST time, 9:30 p.m. EST time. 9:30 p.m. EST time. So we're going to be doing a show then. Make sure you guys tune in. And thank you again. Thank you again. And let me go ahead and we're going to play the outro there for Sam's School of Songs. Definitely be blessed, be well, and take care of yourself.